I'm going to give a book talk about Pax by Sara Pennypacker, and but I'm going to pretend that I'm delivering it to a group of grade fours, as I feel that they would be ready for the complexity of the story, and they would be able to appreciate the enchanting language that the author uses for the story. Okay, here goes. The book Pax was written by Sara Pennypacker, who also wrote the Clementine books that we have on our classroom bookshelf. It was written in 2016, and that year was chosen as one of the global read aloud books, which allowed teachers from all over the world to read the story together with their classes and then connect those classrooms together to have a really deep look at, a deep dive into the story. So this book is very heartwarming. It tells the story of a young boy named Peter and his very best friend, a fox named Pax. Peter's father volunteers for war. Now, this story is dystopian, so it's not like World War I that you're used to, or World War II. It's a war that we don't actually we can't really connect with because we don't have reference to it. It's just a made up war, but the father volunteers to go, and so Peter has to go live with his grandpa. So his dad forces Peter to bring Pax to the side of the road and leave him there. Peter is so upset, not only because he feels guilty about abandoning his friend, but also because he can't stand up to his dad, who expresses his anger quite quickly. But Peter decides to go and look for Pax. He's going to go and look for him and try to rescue him. This mission brings Peter into a friendship with a very unlikely person, a stranger, and it also allows Pax to have an adventure of his own. I'd like to read, a couple of lines of this story. No, I'm going to read a couple pages, just so you can get a sense of the language the author uses, so you can get to see, can you connect with that language? Does that interest you? And also to really highlight this friendship. It's right at the very beginning of the story. You get a clear idea of how close Pax and Peter are. So here it goes. And sure enough, the boy held the toy soldier aloft and then hurled it into the woods. The fox's relief, they were only there to play a game, made him careless. He streaked toward the woods without looking back at his humans. If he had, he would have seen the boy wrench away from his father and cross his arms over his face. And he would have returned. Whatever his boy needed, protection, distraction, affection, he would have offered. Instead, he set off after the toy, finding it was slightly more difficult than usual, as there were so many other fresher odors in the woods. But only slightly. After all, the scent of his boy was also on the toy. That scent he could find anywhere. The toy soldier lay face down at the burled root of a butternut tree, as if it had pitched himself there in despair. His rifle, its butt pressed tirelessly against his face, was buried to the hilt in leaf litter. The fox nudged the toy free, took it between his teeth, and rose on his haunches to allow his boy to find him. In the still woods, the only movements were bars of sunlight glinting like green glass through the leafy canopy. He stretched higher. There was no sign of his boy. A prickle of worry shivered up the fox's spine. He dropped the toy and barked. There was no response. He barked again and again, and again was answered by only silence. If this was a new game, he did not like it. He picked up the toy soldier and began to retrace his trail. As he loped out of the woods, a jay streaked in above him, shrieking. The fox froze, torn. His boy was waiting to play the game, but birds. Hours upon hours he had watched birds from his pen, quivering at the sight of them slicing the sky as recklessly as the lightning he often saw on summer evenings, the freedom of their flights always mesmerizing him. The jay called again, deeper in the forest now, but answered by a coarse reply. For one more moment, the fox hesitated. peering into the trees for another sight of the electric blue wedge. And then, behind him, he heard a car door slam, and then another. He bounded at full speed, heedless of the briars that tore at his cheeks. The car's engine roared to life, and the fox skidded to a stop at the edge of the road. His boy rolled down the window and reached his arms out. And as the car sped away in the pelting spray of gravel, the father cried out the boy's name, "Peter!" And the boy cried out the only name the fox knew, Pax. Would you love the story? Well, if you like the story about friendship, about wonderful characters, about a little bit about war, then this book is for you. If this seems like a book that you'd like to read, put it on your list of next reads. You can find it in our classroom library, and I also checked with Ms. Wuda, and she has copies of it at the public library as well.